Hello, everybody, and welcome back as we are preparing for the final best of two of the day. CLG Academy taking on Immortals Academy. Guys, it's been a long one already, but I think we got enough energy to give this one justice because this is one I've been looking forward to the most all day. CLG still looking strong, and Immortals having signs of life against some of the top teams. So I want to start with the Immortals side. They're the challengers. They're the ones coming at CLG that are currently holding the throne in first place. So, Cubby, Immortals Academy have had an interesting run, I think, so far. I think is a generous
so
way
they
to
had
put
that
it.
4-0 week 1, and then the 0-4 week 2. And then week 3, they started, bringing in the Ivern, the Zillion mid. And I think that in the end, what is starting to give Immortals more success is the fact that their rookies are Concept and Chad. And they're really starting to play through that.
Yeah.
That Magical's
Absolutely. They're enabling these rookies.
I'm a big fan. I mean, we all know I like Concept's champion pool. He's playing Singed. He's playing Mundo. He's Scion's okay.
He's playing
No, we
Scion.
don't talk about that. But we're looking at the.
All right. He's playing Urgot.
There we go. The Urgot we'll talk about because the Urgot I like as well.
Yeah.
These are champions that I like to play, and I like seeing other people playing them.
Well, the Singe in particular, I feel like we were teased it, and then we haven't had it recently, and I'm so upset because I thought that was going to be a mainstay in the top lane pool for Concept. But regardless, the point is, it feels like Immortals Academy are taking the approach, especially with the developing players, of enabling them to play comfortable, play things that they already feel confident on. And that also goes for Chad in the jungle, who I think has been one of the standout performers for a rookie. He's been turning a lot of heads and impressing a lot of people, myself included, in his early season performance. Now, we'll touch back on Immortals Academy after this, but let's introduce CLG Academy now, because this is a team that we've been hyping up all week on our socials, on our pre-show segments, because this team is just that good right now,
There
Gabby.
really isn't much else to say. Like, they're at the top of the standings. They've been doing it with 3 mid laners, one of whom is, the role coach in Demonte. And Triple came over this past week for Super Week, had 1 day of scrims, and they went 5-1. Like, it was no one's business. And the manner that they're doing this in, it's just been dominating early games. No team has been able to breathe on the map against CLG. And then the few games that CLG do get behind and are set behind, like when they played Immortals the first time around, they make these Hail Mary plays to come back that teams can't respond to.
Yeah. It's like it's so difficult to actually keep them shut down if you can even get them into that position in the first place, which good luck against a top laner like Dokla, who has been just smashing everybody and is showing really the way to win through top lane right now in Academy. And with that in mind, let's take a look at Immortals Academy's top laner Concept, because we already kind of teased it. The champ pool's cool, but Cubby, how realistically is Concept fitting in with the win conditions of Immortals?
So Concept is someone that has been playing League of Legends for 10 years, and every single season, he's been playing Mundo, he's been playing Urgot, he's been playing Singe. Those are 3 of his most played.
Consistency, baby. Consistency.
He's been playing those champions on stage to a lot of success. And so I think that, the fact that Immortals has started to identify a play style around this and kind of enable Concept to play what he has been good at, what has gotten him to this point, it started to net Immortals more wins.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at how they play, I like how him and Chad play together. Both the rookies of the team tend to have this synergy where their drafting style enables Chad to play these aggressive, like scaling junglers, but ones that want to do more damage. And then you got Concept. He's going to be the tank frontline, the meatball that can stand in front of Chad and let Chad do Chad things.
Or even something like a Tryndamere, who can still function similarly to that with the ultimate, or the Urgot, of course, with the execute. It's like ride or die, baby. These two together are connected at the hip, and it's exciting to watch. But on the opposite side of the rift, CLG Academy, we mentioned Dokla, but another player that we always need to highlight when we look at this team now, because of how impressive Rosethorn's sophomore year has been now on CLG. Their jungler is having a split.
Rosethorn doesn't believe in the sophomore slump. It's been the sophomore resurrection of Rosethorn's play.
Yeah, he's been studying over the summer. He took classes. He joined the running camp that's optional, and now he's PRing every single time he gets on the track.
And I know that, some of the highlights we're running here are from that last series against Immortals themselves, where CLG came back from this Cassidy that did get a pentakill in the game. Probably the wildest game we've had in the Academy so far this split. And I think that the way that Rosethorn just was able to split up these fights and play the map, he's someone that wasn't on any of our radars moving into summer. He's someone, or I should say 2022. He's someone that, when he was picked up again, we're like, all right, like Rosethorn's on a team. He was an average jungler last year at best. Now he is the best jungler that we've had in the league so far. And in a league where we have Kenby, where we have Armeo, this is something that I don't think anyone saw coming. But Rosethorn and CLG have been able to do it. This team's identity, a lot of it's built around how Rosethorn likes to play the game, and he's been making it pay off for himself and his team tenfold.
Had that split last year with Prismal as well, so already some innate synergy on this CLG Academy roster, and it's exciting to see how they can keep things going, how they can keep riding that momentum, because we are ready for pick and ban now for game number 1 of our final series of the day. So once again, I'm going to pass it back to Magical and Cubby to take us away.
Thank you again, Kangas. It's always good having you around, and we'll see you in the halftime show. We got to get ready for our last best of 2 today. Immortals, CLG. Last time these two teams faced each other was really interesting to see how they actually were able to battle it out, because as you kind of alluded to before, it was close. You wouldn't think with the slump that Immortals had in week 2 that both games would have been such bangers, but it could have been either team's games in pretty much most moments of it.
Yeah, the one game Doko's Gwen did kind of destroy, but the other, I mean, the Cassidy.
Well, that's why it's banned.
Cassidy getting a pentakill and losing, that was wild. And I still think constitutes for the most fun game we've had so far this split. And we're going to have to see if the series can live up, as it is our last series of the day, day 1 of Academy. I do want to talk a little bit more about Rosethorn as we are in the draft. Rosethorn, so when I say that like he was someone that we thought was just an average jungler last year, I did pull the stat from Proving Ground Summer, where Rosethorn played 24 games in that tournament. His Golden Guardians took a top 3 finish. Average gold diff at 10 was minus 124. That's 12th out of the 17 junglers that played in that event. Now, plus 351. His kills plus assists at 14 are through the roof. Like the way that he's been doing this, and the way that he has been playing these first 3 waves with his team, the recipe for success for CLG has been about pushing sides and supporting Rosethorn with these early invades. And the fact that he's deciding on this style, and CLG have been so successful doing it, it's something that none of us saw coming in this early season, and it's been such a pleasure to watch Rosethorn kind of grow and emerge as one of the best junglers that we do have in Academy.
Hovering that Karthus there for a minute, giving you flashbacks of Cloud9 and Malice on it. I thought for a second that maybe Rosethorn was going to give us something brand new, a brand new style for him, but going into the point you're kind of talking about, one of the strengths I think he's had as a player is how well he's playing these early games. You look back to the Rect side game he had way towards the beginning of the split, and how much he was able to gain off that. Even in what would have been seen as a bad matchup initially, just going for these plays, looking for advantages left, right, and center. Here against Chad, it's going to be a bit difficult. Chad is one of those junglers who likes level 3 ganks. Every single time we see Chad, it's usually level 3 ganks.
Well, see if CLG has a game plan for this. I know we have to dive into this pick ban. Junglers, bot lanes knocked in, beautiful tempo ADs with some supportive marksmen that can save them. I'm curious if Arrow ends up going for the poke build on the Varus, or if he goes for something else. I'm assuming the poke build, which tells me that Immortals actually putting a little bit more emphasis on the early game. This is something different compared to what they've been running, as a lot of their strats have been, in the last 2 weeks, have been around Pretty, getting scaling picks mid, whether that is Enchantresses or things like the Victor that Pretty has also played really well in this early season, and using that to get into the mid to late game where Arrow and Pretty can carry. This is a different look for them. And I'm curious if it is poke Varus, what Immortals has in their plans early, because no one has been able to beat CLG in the early game.
No, and that's been one of the most difficult things for a lot of teams, is how do you beat them in the early game? How do you get these advantages? Immortals have unlocked that secret once before. But here with the draft and how we see the second part of it, we have Jace, Ahri banned away from triple. Then on the other side, the 2 mainstays that we tend to see for concept, Mundo and Urgot, no longer an option, but I still expect them to dig deep into Concept's champion pool. One of the champions I've been waiting to see when he's going to bust out is Nasus. I really am curious to see if they do, but they don't. Instead, they grab Graves.
If we do see Nasus, it would be into an Enchantress top, which we don't expect to see CLG running. What I'm interested to see is if CLG does indeed lock in the Tryndamere, as they could put that Graves mid if they wanted to get crazy.
There it is.
And the Tryndamere could or could not match, but we will have to see if Immortals are able to pull off this flex, and if they do get a good matchup for concept on the top side. Now, with the draft with the Poke Varus, I think they would have to win early. I'm not expecting to see an Enchantress top, but if anyone was going to pull it out, Concept would be one of the top laners I would expect to play.
Yeah, that's why these hovers right here aren't really what I expect. The Zillion, that one actually makes sense. That one works a little bit more. Good wave clear against something like a Victor. Also can really support your team. Allows the Forest and the Graves to really be more of the carries for the team. Plus, it enables Chad to play incredibly aggressive.
So now I'm really interested to see if it is Poke Varus, as that Zillion tells me that we might see Arrow go for the on-hit build.
Same.
But it is tough to interact with Aphelios and Victor when you do have the on-hit build. So Zillion, a lot of move speed to try and bridge that gap, but something that Immortals will have to deal with as the game moves forward. And for CLG, is actually a very different identity for them, as they don't necessarily have winning side lanes. I do prefer Aphelios and Tahm Kench, just simply given the fact that Tahm Kench is rather powerful in the early levels of the 2v2, but Graves gets shoved in the top side. Triple on the Victor, it's pretty much just a free lane for each mid laner. So it's a little bit different compared to what we've been seeing CLG have success with, which has been taking things like the Graves, taking things like the Varus bot, and using that to have side lane priority and win lanes that way. Immortals, they're the ones that are kind of taking the strat out of CLG's book, and we're going to have to see if they can put it to use against CLG.
And here, I'm looking at the junglers to be the true ones to dictate how this game is going to go. Chad on Jarvan, Rosethorn on Xin Zhao. Both junglers are going to look for early plays because, like you said, these are kind of uninteractive lanes for the most part. You get a push top lane, you kind of have a neutral mid lane. You can get a push bot lane for Arrow, but not really that much. It's not like you're going to have that much kill threat over him unless there's a beautiful hook that comes in from Joey. I'm really expecting this to be down to how the junglers path immediately.
And with Chad, I mean, you did tease early level 3 ganks. He is on the Jarvan. You can do a lot of creative things early. And Immortals, I think that their side lanes, the fact that Graves is going to have priority on the top side early, I want to see if Immortals can utilize the fact that they do have priority in the sides, because it's something that we've seen CLG do to great success with these same champions. Now, Immortals playing this into CLG, they're going to try and beat CLG with one of their few strats.
Right here, line of scrimmage for both teams. We all know how I feel about that. I'll continue to say that until we get more fights. But for now, neither team really wants to fight. They don't really have the best tools outside of maybe Joey getting a good hook that can start things off, but you're not going to have the flag and drag from Chad. The bombs will kind of poke out members from Pretty, but you're not going to be able to get any stunts to follow it up. It makes sense that neither team really wants to actually look for anything.
And as we're about to dive into this early game for fans at home, I like to do this for every CLG game, as it's fun. How dominant have CLG early games have been in Academy? Well, they're first in gold diff at 14. That gold diff at, oh my, that's aggressive. Okay.
That was
little love
very
tap. That's to satisfy Mad Magical, for sure. How dominant at 14? Their first gold differential of 2,225. Triple has a gold diff of 703. Doko has a gold diff individually of over 1,000. Both of those gold differentials are bigger than any other team that we have in Academy through the first round robin, as individuals in both solo lanes for CLG. I know Triple hasn't played every game, but that is how absurd the early games have been out of this team. As Flash for Flash traded level 1.
Yeah, but it's Joey's Flash only for getting Prismals. I think that's a big win for Immortals, trying to get a little bit of a lead.
One of the reasons they're doing this is given how the junglers are pathing. So you can see Chad going from top to bot. It's going to be mirrored by Rosethorn somewhat, but because Immortals are pathing bot, because Rosethorn was spotted starting on the bot side, this enables the Immortals bot lane to burn those sums, trade them out aggressively, because they know that Chad is on his way bot level 3, and that's exactly what Chad's going for. Red Raptors to Gromp, the fastest, highest health clear that you can have as a jungler. This is the game plan for Immortals. They want to go punish Prismal early.
And Chad will be there momentarily once he has level 3, as per the script that Chad plays by. Every single time, level 3 ganks. Every time I've watched him, at least, he goes for that same play. But how well is that going to be read by CLG? He's only... no, he is level 3.
He is spotted.
Will be spotted out by that ward right there. It gives a lot of information over to Prismal and Breezy.
That is big for the side of CLG because this will enable Rosethorn to try and counter. But you can see Chad, he doesn't even care that he's spotted. They know that they're level 2, level 3. They can make this play.
There's no flash on Prismal. Look how far back he has to play. They're chasing him between the turrets, looking for any play possible. The hook gets the cleanse. I don't even think it would have connected, but it was Prismal making sure to preemptively use it.
It is still Prismal getting zoned out from 2 down 3 waves of gold and XP, which is big, and this is all enabled by Joey trading that flash level 1.
Yeah, right there, though, Arrow going to get knocked up by Breezy, the Flay, with Ignite ticking. Looking for a little bit of poke. Love tap, not going to connect out of Prismal on the other side.
It will enable Prismal to get back in the lane, but the damage has already been done, Mad Magical, and that is a wave and a half, not only of gold, but also experience in favor of Arrow. I really like the aggressiveness from Immortals. We spent so much time talking about CLG's early game. Immortals are 4th, and now Immortals...
Prismal, Prismal, come on. You gotta know that they're probably setting up a death brush like that for first blood out of Arrow.
And Breezy's gonna try and step up and punish, but Chad's here. Breezy might be in trouble too.
Breezy does have flash, though. He can always get back towards the turret. There's not that massive minion wave like there was before, but he's still going to be connected and flayed back in. The flash finally used just to get back towards the turret.
Chad spotted again. Rosethorn will be able to take the Krugs and maybe set up a dive on concept, but the early game plan pays off for Immortals. They punish CLG's bot lane and get an early lead.
Nice leads, too, for their team. To try to see if they can gain control in lanes that we kind of thought were just going to be uninteractive for the most part. Not really do anything. Joey, Arrow, said none of that. We are looking for these early plays that facilitates Chad to continue to play aggressively. As we look towards the top lane, Concept is getting pushed back. It's the ebb and flow of the Graves Tryndamere matchup, which makes a lot of sense. It makes even more sense of why Chad wants to pay so much attention towards the spot lane.
And I am curious how this game moves forward for Immortals, because it is going to be poke calculated.
Okay, yep. I was waiting to see if maybe Pretty was going to flash bomb, but go back to what you were saying.
So it is going to be poke Varus from Arrow. And this is very good against Aphelios and Victor. You can outrange it. You can get them down. But the DPS coming out of Immortals' this team as the game goes on is going to be rather low when you have poke Varus plus Pretty on Zilean. Also Concept playing this Graves top. Most likely going to be that Hullbreaker rush that we have been seeing. So we'll have to see really where the damage is coming from Immortals. And this double longsword start for Chad, I'm curious if we might see a bigger upfront damage Jarvan to try and hit this mid-game spike really hard with a Zilean and utilize that passive. It could be Chad just blitzing in and trying to make plays that way for the side of Immortals instead of, you know, buffing up this big late game AD that we so oftentimes seen Zilean paired with.
Rosethorn was looking for a play bot lane, hanging out in the alcove. Oh yeah, he's still hunting. But it is a difficult lane. Whenever you have Thresh, as long as you can kind of play a little bit further back, a lot easier. Even though Arrow is playing a little far up, that's usually what is expected when you have that safety net.
It's good guns for Prismal, so they can look, and yeah, here we go.
There it is. Lantern, taken away. Arrow's fine.
Not quite able to chain the knock-up there for Rosethorn. And Rosethorn being spotted, I think he's just going to have to go back to his camps and maybe reverse his pathing to go bot the top now. It should open up the window for Immortals to take this first dragon. So I think a lot of priority in this game. I know it's a Zilean mid, but the rest of Immortals comp, they spike early. They spike on one item. So I really like that Immortals are trying to hit this window hard. They've already gotten a lead bot. I'm going to transition this into a dragon. And now Immortals also have the opportunity to rotate to the Herald. They want to stick with a strong bot lane and maybe get a split map scenario going on.
Yeah, but I kind of like that point you were just saying, that this is the early game blitz that Immortals have to go for here. Because when you look at where their damage is, it's mostly AD. Even if you got Pretty with the bombs that can connect on triple like this, eventually you just got to be careful of getting outscaled. Pretty's taking a lot of damage from the Chaos Storm, but so is Chad. The ult is available for Pretty if he needed to use it, but he thinks that it's going to be safe.
Triple really holding on to that flash. I think it's okay as Chad just trading 1-for-1. Again, gives Chad a window to attack.
Ghost for ghost.
Okay.
And flash.
That is the matchup. I like how in the Graves Tryndamere matchup, as Rafa likes to say, they just both turn on the Nas at the same time, right? Ghost for ghost.
Mm-hmm. It's a low cooldown. If you want to look for a fight, it will be back up pretty soon.
With Chad, though, being spotted going from the bot side of the map to top, of course, he is recalling now. Rosethorn looking optimistically to maybe set up a play on the bot lane, but all sums for the Immortals bot lane. No window to punish for the side of CLG. And it will still continue to be a little bit more of a quiet early game as Rift Herald is on the map, and it looks like Breezy is going to be sprinting straight there. Maybe we see a play break out around this Rift Herald that would be, I think, dangerous for the side of CLG, still given where the champions are at this point of the game.
Look at how the pings are coming through, though, for CLG. Understanding that Arrow and Joey had committed to crash this minion wave in the bot lane, all the while, Breezy, as you had spotted out on the minimap, had been rotating up to try to contest and make sure CLG gain control over the Rift Herald.
And you can see Concept. Rift Herald is going to be spotted there by the crab that IMT have for themselves. Now Breezy spotted mid. Breezy has to retreat back to the fog, and now Immortals with Joey coming to match this roam. They now have a window to potentially look for this Rift Herald.
They do. They could easily do that, but keep in mind that Prismal, he's hanging out in the bot lane with Arrow. I feel like they kind of need to have a little bit more bang to their buck if they want to actually look for this fight. While Dokla is going to be pretty damn terrifying, it's still a lot that is lacking from actual damage. They've got Berserker's Graves, they got a pickaxe for Dokla, but they don't really have these completed items. They're sitting on a lot of components at the moment.
I think the tough part for CLG is the fact that while this is going on, Prismal is really getting starved out. It's pretty going to speed up and dodge out on that knockup, but the wave, top lane, the wave did bounce back for CLG. Dokla was able to get the shove there, as that will be enough for them to start up the Rift. And now IMT, they're here to contest.
Chad could flag and drag in, waiting it out. There it is. Goes in the pit. There's Concept behind.
Fight
goes over to the side of Chad, but Chad is going to give up his own life to Dokla with the flag coming in from Joey. Still burning. Might be taken down, but he has the chrono shift. And look at this entire time. They're trying to kite back Dokla. Going to grab the Lantern. Somehow Concept's able to make it out alive.
And, ooh, okay, pretty. Didn't get the ult on the Chad. Instead, it went on the Joey. And Chad was never able to actually pick up that Rift Herald. So that one kill, expensive for the side of Immortals, as CLG not only went out on the play at the Rift Herald, but also Prismal able to stick around and get 2 solo plates on the Aphelios bot lane. So a big play for CLG, and that Rift play on its own nets them a 1.5k gold lead.
Yeah, that was a lot of needed gold in the spot lane for Prismal. Getting the kill as well is huge.
And part of this is Immortals going for the play when their waves were getting crashed upon them. CLG set up this wave to hit this top lane turret, and Dokla just took 3 plates on his own in the top lane. So the way that CLG are even able to punish an early game mistake from Immortals when they have a comp that we expect to kind of scale into these lanes, when we say Immortals drafted for the early game comp, the slightest mistake from the enemy team, CLG are still able to punish that so hard that they now have this big lead off of 1 Rift Herald play.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised by the amount of damage Dokla was able to do in that fight. I thought that they'd be able to kite him back, utilize the ult, but as you had mentioned, it wasn't onto the right target. So he's able to make sure they kill Chad, deny the eye, and then Dokla, he's just chasing down Concept. Even if you have Hullbreaker, that's not enough tanky stats for yourself. You have to be careful in looking for the fight against Dokla. No ult, though, for either side.
And importantly for Dokla, he now has Ghost advantage. That's all Tryndamere needs to run down the Graves in this matchup. And it's all opened up because of that kill, because Dokla has red buff at the moment. So that's what gets the Ghost out of Concept. And Dokla can now try and run with that lead, as Dokla, he has been so dominant in the early season of Academy. If we had a mid-split MVP, it would go to Dokla hands down. He's been crushing every other top laner.
Look at this. He's going to kill Concept underneath the turret solo. He's got ult available. Concept's got no way out, so it's big Dokes yet again in the top lane. Well, mid lane, first one was nearly able to get Chad. But this is all big wins across the board for CLG.
And you can see Pretty's ult is down, so I think that Chad was coming out of a revive. But that play, Rift Herald, it's now bleeding into the top side, as Dokla was able to take the kill, even going Gale Force, not even matching the Hullbreaker. His 2 kills are now on this Tryndamere. And a big issue with Immortals comps as this game moves forward, it's going to be tough for Tryndamere to teamfight. You're going into a Zillion, you're going into a Thresh. But who on the side of Immortals can match Tryndamere in the side lane? If Concept isn't able to do it, no one else is going to be close to doing that.
Nope. That is what you always have to fear when the Tryndamere's on the other side in the Graves matchup, especially when you went for more of, not exactly Enchanter mid, but more of a supportive mid. Let's take a look at this replay really
no.
quick. Okay, good. We're back to
No
live. I
ult.
wanted to see this because they got a lot of damage. 1-for-1 auto attack's going to be able to get the kill for Pretty. Now with triple here, but Dig Doke's right behind.
There's
He's
no
got
ult.
Gale Force, even if he got a little bit of movement speed coming in from Pretty. Dokla can chase this down. The flash through is the only saving grace for Pretty.
And Pretty, he's got a blast cone. We'll be able to sneak out as Dokla didn't have access to the slow. And it's at least one rotation where Dokla isn't able to get anything, but still, it's CLG making plays, finding leads on the map. That 1-for-1 trade, lucky that Chad was able to get it. Oh, this is interesting.
Oh, this is an interesting play. There.
Oh,
First down, Prismal. Okay, I didn't expect that from Arrow and Joey, but now Breezy, 1v2 legend here as the support. He keeps beating them every single time.
the Tom Kench still got some solo lane in him as Breezy able to at least trade that one out. Still a win for Immortals as he was able to take down Prismal first. We'll get the wave in, but a little bit of an action-packed early game here in Mad Magical, but still, I believe I teased at the start of the show, or at least this series, average CLG gold diff at 14. It is 2,225. It is the 14-minute mark. That looks like a 2,225 gold lead at the side of CLG.
Maybe. I suppose it does look like that if you look at the surface of it, and also the dragons, and also the fact that Dokla's got 2 kills and no kills on the other side for concept. But I don't know what you're talking about.
They told me not to do live math on air. I defeated them. I've done live math on air successfully.
All right, let's see how good you are. Tell me if this is going to be a long division. So divide
Hold on, I don't think we have
2,554 and 35.
I missed that as Arrow.
Yeah. There was a lantern. I knew that was going to happen.
Okay.
So 2,045 divided by 35.
2,045 divided by 35?
Yeah, come on.
Give me the game.
Got 10 seconds.
10 seconds? No way.
So you
What are
can't
you, a
do live
math teacher?
No, I'm a caster.
All right.
Yeah. I could have done that, actually. I'm pretty good at math.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I will avoid that sort of math as we are, at least, now that a couple of the turrets have started to be, knocked down, CLG, bit of a rotation. Actually moving their bot lane into the mid, trying to protect Prismal a little bit better as some have been bled out from each of these bot lanes. And this does open up more time for Dokla to do just that. Hit concept twice and dash away.
I thought for sure he was about to die from him again. Even with a full health bar, I just thought Dokla was going to do
Got
it.
the hull breaker. He's working on plated steel caps. He's fine.
Yeah, but there's ghosts available for Dokla, and that's the big thing. That's what gives him all the power, right? Because right there, Breezy gets caught out with a nice hook coming in from Joey. Cataclysm onto Prismal as well.
Oh.
Gut Flash available to be able to get out of there.
CLG not respecting the numbers, not respecting the fact that Immortals had a power play. As Pretty had rotated up, does net Immortals a kill. CLG will respond, though, in kind, as Dokla, he's done working on that top lane outer turret. It's now all his, and he's going to continue to push forward his concept. Even just ignoring the wave, he's just taking the Krugs. He's trying to deny, all the resources on the top side that Dokla is going to be able to get on this Tryndamere, because he is just going to be a menace in this side lane throughout this game.
Look, I'm pretty sure this game has gone from CLG playing a team, 5v5 to purely just a 1v5. This is all about Dokla now, because nobody's going to be able to match Dokla unless they commit every single member to actually kill him, but then you're committing every single member to kill Dokla, and that gives free time for CLG to get other things on the map.
Speaking of other things, Kelly will be put in the back pockets of CLG. As at least the bright side for Immortals, I know that they're down a little bit in gold at the moment. I know that Dokla is going to be this menace in the side lane. They still have ways they can win fights at this point of the game. You still have Zillion bombs you can chain up with Jarvan. Arrow on the Varus plus Jarvan. You can use these ultimates to try and create winning angles for yourself in the team fight. I think the big difference, though, is that CLG, just the way that they're able to play lanes outside of mid, at the moment, it's just unmatched by every other team in Academy. And that's what we've been seeing CLG really net the majority of their wins off of and why they are at the top of the standings.
Nice control ward placed down by Breezy. Spots out that there was an attempted bait from Immortals. Right, at this moment, I gotta say, that's probably the best bet for Immortals, is to try to find these picks. Try to find a straggler who's caught out.
And you can see CLG kind of recognizing that as Rosethorn. He isn't even around this dragon. He has rotated top. It has actually been spotted by Immortals, who are now trying to rotate back to match. As Rosethorn is going to step over a ward again. And CLG might be looking for an angle.
Yeah, but keep in mind, this whole time, CLG are just killing time. Immortals, they're going back and forth, back and forth. They're not sure exactly what play they can actually look for.
Arrow, Prismal, trade out some poke. Arrow. Be able to use the Lantern to stick around, take this. And now that Dokla's here, CLG feel comfortable contesting. They have taken control of the spot side river. A nice
Rose Thorn, nice flash.
Ooh, okay, so that's something forced out of CLG. The jungler, very important, as Immortals will now make their way into this dragon. CLG have started it, and this is a tough position for CLG, as Immortals are just going to get control right back.
Concept's right behind them. They're going to have all 5 members for each
poke.
side. There's going to be a big old fight as Rose Thorn goes in on a Joey.
Oh,
They've got
got him.
damage. They've already got the kill on a Rose Thorn, but Dokla's now getting kited back. He's taking a lot of damage, and he's already used the ult. It's gone. No longer does he have that safety net to be able to rely on and get out of here. That's why they're flashing away, but they're getting followed up by Chad with the nice lantern behind, looking for Breezy. He's caught out. Not going to be able to get back towards the turret so they can pick up a kill, but with Concept now having the chrono shift to survive, he's still underneath the turret. Going to be devastating if he gets caught out.
And Rosethorn and Dokla, so they tried to pincer Immortals, but they killed Rosethorn before he was able to use that ultimate, so he just melts immediately. IMT take a man advantage thanks to the Zillion ult, and this should be the 3rd dragon going over to them.
There's no ult out of Dokla anymore. The Undying Rage was popped a little too soon, so they have to forfeit the 2nd dragon for Immortals.
And props to Immortals. That was a kind of a tough position that CLG were trying to put them in with the flank, but Joey, really nice, just catching Rosethorn on the dash with the death sentence. Immortals turning as a team, what we'd love to see. Immediately take out the Zen, and from here, no chance for CLG to win this fight. It's just a full-on retreat.
Exactly. It's just pretty much them booking it. When Dokla doesn't have his ult, that essential pseudo tankiness that he can have with that in his kit, they had to cede so much control over the river.
And honestly, lucky that CLG was able to at least trade one back. Now, on the post play, Dokla did catch a big wave that was bouncing back towards him. So this Tryndamere continues to get further and further ahead, over 10 CS a minute. And now the Navori Quick Blade's completed. So if you didn't think that Tryndamere was pushing hard enough, guess what? He's got the Beyblade now fully engaged with those Quick Blades, as he's going to be spinning the wind better than even Garen can on the Rift. We love to reference our Season 1 champs here in Academy.
I'll be honest, I actually
The OGs.
I was hoping Concept would play much more of a Concept-style champion. Graves is not really one that I think of when I think of Concept.
You would want Garen.
Garen would be one. Hey, me and him had a conversation in the lab, and he was talking about full crit Garen. I still want to see it.
Glad that Concept's working on some tech you haven't even seen out of him yet, as looks like CLG, that Rift Herald was about to expire, so they're just going to be using it in the bot side, make sure that this turret goes over the side of CLG, and Immortals seem to be rotating. Maybe looking to stop the charge, but they have 4 invested. I don't think it's going to be enough.
I don't think so either. Going to be able to get the crash there from Kelly or Shelly, whatever you want to call her. Takes that. More gold for the side of CLG, and I think it was only solo gold picked up by Rosethorn. I think Dokla was just out of range.
At least CLG able to respond in kind with a little bit of push in the bot side, and I guess we're seeing Pretty on the Zillion. Actually, I have a few more ways of dealing with Tryndamere on the side lane than I thought. Just given the fact that he has Everfrost, of course, those perma-slows. Only real way to beat that in terms of Zillion are the Swifties. Dokla has the Berserker Greaves, so I guess Pretty is able to neutralize that Tryndamere on the side. That's really big for the side of Immortals. I still am worried about their DPS as this game goes on with the poke Varus, but at least if you are able to match the Tryndamere with Pretty in the side lane, you can at least try and slow things down in that aspect of the game for Immortals.
Not at the moment. Immortals have slowed things down a bit. They were falling a bit far behind. A lot of the gold in the top side of the map for Dokla over Concept. They're getting some other members to actually have a little bit more of a leg to stand on. We look at Arrow right now on this Horizon. Even if it is the poke Varus, he's got Eclipse. He's got a little bit more that he can actually do to do lasting damage to these members of CLG.
Just the one concern is, like, yeah, the poke is good. Just what happens in the team fight, and the Zillion aren't quite able to utilize those Enchantress buffs that Zillion gives as well. So that's going to be the thing that we're going to have to see if Immortals can defeat as this game goes on, as I think Zillion plus Poke Varus combo that I've yet to really see. So kind of learning along with the rest of you, watching at home. And
I mean, you'd be surprised how much damage Zillion actually does. So everyone always gets surprised because of those bombs. But it is his only real way of dealing damage. He has to throw those bombs out and try to go for stuns too.
The bombs hit hard. I'm more worried about, it's different when you have an Aphelios pair with a Zillion, where all of a sudden you have a 600 move speed Aphelios running at you compared to, like, the Lethality Varus. That's a bit different to play around. Now, it is really difficult for CLG to engage fights, as it really only is a solo engage from Xin, and Tryndamere finding angles is going to be really difficult against the Graves, against the Zillion, and with Joey able to reposition someone from Immortals. So I think these team fights are going to be tough for CLG to navigate, and this is the point of the game that I think Immortals really has to try and win, try and punish CLG, because they don't win sides as the game goes on. You have a marksman that gets outscaled as the game goes on. So I think you really have to hit these moments of the game hard, and they have triple split out.
They even popped the battle song, but they get the flash out of triple. Taking out that mobility aspect of triple, so he doesn't have that safety net that he can fall back onto, especially when we have this dragon. Going to be a potential soul point for Immortals if they can latch onto it.
You can see how tough it is for CLG to engage these fights, so they're trying to find angles, and whenever Pretty spots someone, he's just getting a sum out. As that's the second time that they've been able to get a flash before Dragon has even spawned. Last time it was Rose Thorns, this time triple, as Immortals have repositioned, take full control over this mid lane. 10 seconds before Dragon, CLG are here, ready to fight and wait. But Immortals,
though,
they can always take that mid outer if they want it.
Dokla hanging out on the wings, waiting to dive over this wall, waiting for Immortals to overstep, especially now that the Dragon has spawned. Could be a time to charge in. He's level 15 to only 13 on concept. Only one matching him on the side of Immortals is Pretty.
He's got 14 now. We're good.
There we go. I mean, still a level down, and it's still Dokla. Yeah, look at that. He's got a BF sword, too. This is going to be really brutal if Dokla can dive into the back line.
And you can see how nervous Dokla is going for that flank, because he knows that if he gets slowed down by Zillion, he just can't function. So he's actually rotating back to make sure they get pushed in this lane again. He's able to still stay up in that jungle, and him being spawned on that way, that's all Immortals needs to start up this Dragon.
They are trying to burst it down. They got a little bit of damage, but unfortunately they peel back. Not feeling too confident, especially with the poke that comes in from triple.
Yeah, plus 48 feels good in the Victor. So now CLG, they're going to wait. Let this do some damage to IMT. Another good laser.
Stun. They got the stun on Rose Thorn. He popped the Crescent Strike to be able to survive, but it's going to be Chad taking a lot of damage. He's the first casualty. First one to die. Look at Dokla getting the flash out of Arrow, but he follows it right up with his own flash to be able to pick up the kill. He's rooted in place, but he's got Undying Rage to be able to survive this fight. Spin to win back to the team, with Joey now flashed on top by Breezy. Killed off two by the Catfish. Well, Concept Pretty. Both back towards the turret with their tails between their legs.
And we teased how difficult it is for CLG to try and find angles, but Immortals kind of give them that angle, and Pretty gets split up from the two members that go down first. He was never even able to utilize that ultimate on the Zillion, so CLG run rampant, pick up 3 off the split, and now they're going to take the Baron. And just like that, CLG, another small mistake from Immortals. CLG makes it look huge, makes it look game-changing. They punish this to the full degree as CLG continues to move forward.
We got to take a look at this replay, right? And at first, I thought it was going to be nice. For the side of Immortals, they had a pick, they had a stun on the Rose Thorn, but it wasn't enough.
And they weren't able to get the res off on the Chad, and now things get so split because Pretty wasn't marking Dokla. And if that Tryndamere is not getting slowed down, he's running straight through your backline, which is exactly what happened for Immortals there. So props to Dokla. He was waiting very patiently around that wall for the right time to pick his moment to go in. Once Pretty steps into that choke on the blue side of the map, Dokla says, it's my time to go, and he made full use of that.
And with this advantage, they not only deny that soul point potential out of Immortals, that could have been their saving grace here in the mid to late game, but they also got that Baron. They can now siege this tier 2. Even if Joey pops the battle song, they aren't in a position to be able to follow this up. The hook goes wide, not even onto triple.
And every time that hook misses, that's more time for Dokla in the side lane, as he is on his own, Baroned up creeps. And that's why Immortals are pushing so hard here, because they know that they have numbers and they have to do something. But CLG able to neutralize it with their own Tahm Kench.
Neutralize the pick that could come in from Arrow, getting their own amount of damage onto Arrow as well. All the while, Dokla is on an island. He is pushing in at these minions consistently. Immortals wanted to be able to be the first ones on the call to try to see if they can catch Dokla out of position, but he's still got that ult now available. Soon to win, back into the team. He's stunned up, but for how long? He can now go right into the middle of everybody. They've got one to go. Golden with the help of the revive coming in from Pretty, but he had to take the lantern out to survive. The hook not going to connect. Prismal now, the one flanking Immortals. shoving them back into their base, making sure that they can escort these minions once more into their base.
It's actually rather well navigated by the side of Immortals, and was really made possible by Joey's Lantern, getting pretty out of that situation as he was coming out of the Death Chamber. We'll make sure Immortals can at least live another day, as now CLG has completely rotated this push, as now the 4 members are in the bot lane looking for this inhibitor turret. Doka's working on the mid lane.
As concept, he fights with Rosethorn, gets pulled back in by the death sentence, but that's a lot of damage from Rosethorn on top of concept. He barely holds on to his own life. Bombs on top, but they've got themselves the Chrono Shift onto Chad. Chad will be able to revive. They've got a stun on the other side onto Triple with the nice death sentence to be able to get the Flay 2 combo, but they've gone golden, and look at the damage coming in from Prismal to be able to fight back perfectly against Immortals.
Watch Chad. He's going to wait for that shield.
He tried to get the flying drag, but he wasn't able to connect it. Now the gravity wheel slow. It's going to make sure they get the double kill out of Prismal. And with Pretty gone and back towards the team, he's so slow trying to speed himself up, but the rewind wasn't enough. He had to give the thumbs up because it's okay. The base is now in tatters.
That's going to be at least 2 inhibitors falling. CLG, they have 5. They can go.
Prismal just flashed forward onto Arrow, looked for the play, but with the Chrono Shift now on top of Arrow, they don't want to actually fully commit. They want to force them back towards the fountain so they can topple these turrets.
I think they get the 1 Nexus turret. I don't think they can stay for more, as that ult from Pretty being forced, that's going to be enough, as Immortals at least lives to see another day. But once again, CLG, the way they play the map as a team, that instance from them where they swap the 4 being mid to the 4 being bot to use that to push and make sure that Doke was the one getting the time and space. This is such good play coming out from CLG Academy. And I know that we expect this from them, as they are first in the standings. They're one of the more experienced Academy teams that we have, but the way that they are able to play out the map states and do it as a team is so clean.
It is, and here with, what is that, a 10,400 gold lead over Immortals here, 30 minutes into the game. 11,000 now. There we go. Thank you. Hey, look, I have an excuse. I have an excuse today. My brain's not all here today. We already know this, but barely here anyways.
Hey, by the way.
What up?
Well, was it 2,045 divided by 35?
Yeah.
All right, I'm working on it.
Calculators don't count, by the way. If you use a calculator, you're cheating.
Well, I don't think that's possible.
Hey, I mean, it's not. It's not gonna be even.
It's gonna be
that's
a decimal,
the point,
right?
Right. That's fine.
Okay.
That's the point.
I'm working on the decimal.
All right, I'll let you do that as Arrow. They knew he was there. They're going to be getting the laser pointer on him, the lantern too. A lot of tools now used by Immortals just to stay safe, which gives CLG free time onto this final outer turret that remains for Immortals.
And that laser from Triple just solo forces Arrow to go back into the base.
Look how much damage he took.
As CLG, after this turret, will have 58,500 gold, which 58.5 is actually how many times 35 is divisible into 2045.
Oh, there we go. Bravo.
I tied it back into the game, Mad Magical.
I'm glad you did. I'm proud of you, too. That was a good transition there. And
staying on topic.
Yeah. And staying on topic, we got to get back to this game, because that is the final inhibitor turret that remains for Immortals. They have 1 Nexus turret. This is looking dire, unless they can have this miracle YOLO play work on Dokla. But I talked about this before. 1v5, it doesn't damn matter if you kill him, because what's happening on the other side of the map?
Well, at least Dokla's split, and he's now trying to get back to the team. Chad, he's just going to send it.
Chad, he just dies immediately from that too. Rosethorn, he wasn't able to save the life of his support, but it doesn't matter. They're getting the flashes from Immortals. The pull back in, not there from Joey. Instead, it's going to be Concept. Dove on by Dokla, taking the lantern to safety, but at what cost? Nothing's left of your base. Every single one of your structures is gone. The only thing that remains is this Nexus in front of CLG, the top team of Academy. They are here to continue their domination of everyone in their path.
Take a few extras for themselves, take it for the ride home, and CLG, another game where the thing that keeps on impressing me about CLG is that, you know, we have this narrative that they're playing early games well, which they are. But even in that game, where they aren't taking the early priority, keep in mind, Prismal's been one of the few ADs that's actually playing this poke Varus and using it to get prio bot. We've seen a lot of Graves from Dokla. He's been one of the people that has played that the most successfully in that matchup. Now when they're on the back foot of both those matchups, they're still able to play sides correctly to utilize that to win the game. That's not just a few champs that CLG can execute strats around. This is textbook league that they're playing from top to bottom, and it's really fun watching CLG take advantage of playing sides to the fullest. It's a style that they've had from day one. Entering the second round robin, they're sticking to it, and it's still netting them a lot of wins.
And they remain on top above the blob, the rest of Academy. We're going to toss it to a break so that way we can get our last halftime show of the day. Make sure you stay tuned.